Okay, so some suggestions for after a bank will wipe out. So there are multiple ways to get back in the game. So, and some methods may sound like opposite of other methods. That's just how it is. You know, you're gonna run into this thing with this business. Just like if you work for a major corporation, you can work for IBM, Microsoft, and somebody will come in. Your supervisor will tell you something, turn around and tell you something complete opposite of that. It's because certain things are impossible or hard to figure out, and other reason could be that um, what works for one person may not work for the next person. So you're gonna run into that. So let's say that you had your bankroll wiped out completely. Hopefully, you have a backup plan. That's why it's a good idea to split your bankroll into segments. So if you start out with 10,000, let's say, and you're able to build that up to 20 something thousand, okay. Well, what you might do is divide it into three segments of 7,000, 8,000 each. And so one segment should be in your wherever you keep your money, in your closet or something. The other two segments should be in a safe deposit box, or maybe at home you have buy one if you don't have one, in case there's a fire or there's break-in, then it's safe, right? Or if you keep it in the bank, keep it in a separate account so you don't by mistake start digging into it. So and that 7,000-8,000, somehow it'd be nice if you could keep track of, maybe count it every day, and so your Excel sheet have a balance of your bankroll. You need to know where you're at every day. Okay. So if you start out with, say, like 10,000, right? So tomorrow, what is it going to be? And if you're seeing that your bankroll is dropping by over 60 or 70%, then you gotta do something, right? Because now it's coming to the end, and it's always good to find out what caused this. So you go to your Excel sheet, and maybe you find out that your blackjack game isn't working somehow. Blackjack card counters go broke all the time. Okay, so it happens, But it's the same with the craps are great odds, but you can run into a bad series of bad events and lose a lot. Slot machines are just all games. Again, we're back to coin toss. Okay, you can't have tails every toss. You're gonna have some heads, and when you have heads, you lose. When you have tails, you win. Right? So it'll be if the bankroll keeps going up, it's also good to do analysis. On your Excel sheet, what is bringing you the most of the money? But most certainly, if the bankroll is dropped in half or more, then you seriously need to maybe stop. Don't even play. Take a couple of days off, and sit down and figure out what's causing it, right? And we just hired someone that was an excellent card counter, amazing card counter, and also has played craps, so he's familiar with. He just got to learn a couple of different types of counting systems for Spanish 21 and those kind of things, and so he's ready to go. But the reason he was looking for a team to join is because his bankroll was wiped out. So we asked if he would be interested in doing a case study and see why. He wasn't keeping record. He just had a pile of money and he just kept going into, and then it would go down, and then it would go up. The pile would just shrink, and increase, and he thought, well, it's, that's how it is. And then suddenly he went to a series of losses, and then he was completely out. So he wasn't keeping track, but we tried to sit down and had him try to remember, write down a little bit of history of what he was doing in recent times, and we kind of all, including himself, we came to the conclusion that this was not a losing streak per se. This was due to exhaustion. And we do the same thing here. We play every day because our daily income is not huge where we can afford to just go once a week. We want to make money. Card counters, they could go a couple of times a week because when they're traveling, they can go to a casino and make $4,000 or $5,000 in just one day, a few hours. So they can take a couple of days off they want, and then go again that week and make another $4,000 or $5,000. It's $10,000 a week. But we don't make that kind of money. We make about $400 to about $1,800 a day. So, and then because we play in a different fashion, we also have losses. Blackjack card counters have losses too. But the issue was when he first started, okay, he was just trying to work on his counting system, right? And then he ran into some big losses where, he would lose like $1,500 in blackjack. So it would take him 10, 15 hours. And I've done that too. Most people have done that. He wasn't going to leave the casino. He was going to stay there and get that money back. So it took him 15 hours to get the money back and make a little profit. So he ran into a bunch of days like that. And he thinks he was making mistakes in the counts, and he was just bidding large amounts when he wasn't supposed to. The true count was different than what he thought. So what was happening, as humans, we're not the type of creatures where we can go through a 15-hour days, 7 days a week, and then all of a sudden take one day and sleep really good and recover. We're not created like that. When we go weeks and weeks of, overtime, it's going to take a long time to get back to a normal energy level. And you can take, it's good to take a lot of vitamins, eat healthy and drink a lot of water. All that stuff is really going to help, especially vitamin D, because 99.9% of people have a vitamin D deficiency, and then they have no energy. Coffee is great, it's health-wise. These are all great supplements, but there's exhaustion due to extreme hours, a whole different game, And the only way we're going to recover is what we suggested to our new guy is, it's going to take him a little while to get trained anyway, so he's not going to be going to casinos. But we told him to figure out what hours he was working. He thought he was going in around 7 p.m. and he stayed there until 3 a.m. or longer, And every day, 7 days he was going. And he did that for a long time. So our suggestion is, for the next few nights, sleep during those times. Go to bed at 7 to 3, And then wake up, maybe do something, maybe eat a healthy snack or something, and then go back to sleep. But those hours, we need to kind of get it out of our system. It's kind of a voodoo kind of thing, but it works. Because every person I know that does the same thing as in our group, we all do this, Because what happens is we get exhausted during those working hours, And this exhaustion, we believe, was causing the losses. He was just, as we've mentioned in other videos, if you're part of a team, like we have a team here, all teams have got restrictions. If you're not in good health, if you're exhausted, whatever the reason might be, you're not allowed to play that day because you're using team's bankroll. It's not your own bankroll, right? And we can't afford to lose for a reason like that, right? So if you are individual, you're not part of the team, you have to follow the same guidelines, you know. So our suggestion to our new hiree, and suggestion for you, if you're starting to lose a lot, you can't figure out why, it may not be a losing streak. It may be that you're just exhausted. So you have to weigh out the situation. If you're used to going every day, you're making money, and maybe you've lost some money, so now you're working even more hours to make up for those losses. That's understandable. Well, what's the purpose if you keep losing, right? And what's the purpose of going to work 7 nights if you're not gaining any money? You're losing more than you're winning. What's the purpose of that, right? So you may have to, if you run into that problem, you may have to get like a part-time job, or live, you got a bankroll, right? Hopefully. Maybe try to live on your bankroll, live minimum, doing spending monies, going to restaurants, spending $200-300 for dinner and stuff, whatever it takes, because during all the games that we work on here, they're skills games. Even our slot machines, we do it with skill. There's not much to do with the machine. There's no, it's just a button, right? But just walking around a casino, to find the machine that needs to pay, sometimes you have to walk for 2 hours. And casinos are designed so people can't walk, you get dizzy. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if you noticed that, they design them so people sit down, because if they can walk, then they can leave, They design it so you enter and you can't wait to sit down. Because all the lights and all the frequencies of the sounds, waves that they generate, makes you a little dizzy, They want you to stop thinking, And so there's exhaustion with playing slot machines, because you can't sit on the same machine. You gotta get up and go to the next one if this one's not working. So all these games that we play are skill based and just basic counting. Going, okay, you gotta go 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4. See, this type of counting, it's exhausting for your brain. You may not feel it physically or something, but you're exhausting yourself doing this. Okay, and after a while, yeah, you get physically exhausted too. And you can't figure out why. You say, well, I'm done. I slept good and ate good and had my coffee and took my vitamins. I should have a lot of energy now, but you don't. Again, this is a crazy environment. They make it so you don't think, you're not, but then with our games, you have to think. You have to count. And counting is something that takes a while to learn. And even if you're top pro, it's still going to be exhausting. Okay, so your conclusion may be that you're better off going, if you're getting exhausted, maybe going twice a week, make $800 each time. That's $1,600. Okay, for that week you made, versus going 7 nights, losing 4, then gaining 6, then losing 1,100, then gaining. That's not going to work, right? So maybe do that for a while, until you figure out whether this is the problem or not. It may not be the problem. You may be having a losing streak, but for this particular person, that's what we think, and he also just realized that's what it was. That's what cost him all that money. He lost, I think, he started small. I don't know how many thousands it went up to, but he lost it all. So this is one of the things that we may have to do after a big loss, or maybe you're not losing. You know, maybe this is something you're listening to this and you're going like, gee, I wonder. You know, you're still ahead on your bankroll, but you're having too many losing days, and you're just luckily you're making a lot. So, but there might be something down deep that will catch up, and that's your energy level. You know, and a lot of people, as we get older, energy level is everything, and for an advantage player. So as you get older, you don't have the same amount of energy, so your income is going to drop. This equivalent is exhaustion. When you're exhausted, you're like an older person. You don't have the energy, brain energy, or even physical energy. You know, that's why if you're exhausted, you should not touch the craps table, because that's almost like a sport. You know, you got to be in good shape physically, and you most certainly should not be sitting at a table. So that's a good reason to say, hey, you know what? Regardless of how much I make today, or broke even or lost, it's time to go home. That's a great reason to go home. And please follow your feelings. If you're exhausted, you're not going to accomplish anything. So, and we'll have more options, you know, in these cases, you know. But this is one of them. Reducing the number of casino visits per month or per week or whatever. And thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.